Of another perspective. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and we really love you to be with us. Thank you very much.
So yeah, so another perspective, and you'll find this part of the awakeningpodcast.org. And as always, we're going to tell you what we're going to talk about, but Arnold always creates a beautiful picture on the cover. And you might as well. I mean, obviously, some people are just listening, so we can describe it to them as well.
Yeah, it's a picture of a nice flower popping out of a sidewalk, well, stones, so in the edge of the stones, and still a beautiful flower, which says, "No one can stop you once you have decided to grow." So everything in your surrounding, everything in your direct or indirect surrounding might be, well, basically very stuck in the thing. It doesn't mean that you cannot grow. You can always grow if you want to, and I invite you to do that.
So our news, no expert witnesses in the Lou Warden. I know I'm butchering the name, but Arnold will tell you later the exact pronunciation trial. Most of Trump's global tariffs are illegal. A lot of stuff that we covered previously now will be coming up this week, so it's an interesting one. NATO's new fortress, fighter charged with a series of arson offences, and that's one that I got from one of our listeners, so thanks Barry for that. Sharia law in Austria, and Ebbing overturned asylum hotel case. With AI, we've got Google AI phone, Google's Jules 2.0 AI coding agent, and RAIN or RAINE versus OpenAI. Good News Caravan, face and voice IP. New cancer therapy for cats may help people too. From fishing to farming, and spinal cord injury repair using 3D printed organoid scaffolds. Health, universal health trackers, the discontinuation of organ appeal. That was another one that we talked about previous, and lack of safe drinking water. Inspiration, Pure Human by Greg Braden, Mexico's historic poverty reduction, and making flight patterns visible. So what's the correct pronunciation of that word, Arnold? I know with your Dutch accent, you do it a lot better.
Yeah, it's a city in the northern part of the Netherlands. It's called Leeuwarden. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago that here you can see the picture of the lawyer. His name is Arno van Kessel, and he is currently locked up in a, well, not a, the most high secure prison in the Netherlands, like he's a war criminal or something like that. And the reason they put him there in jail is because he started a case against the, well, the way the government and everybody else handled the COVID case. And in that case, it's still continuing, but they put him in jail, but his colleague is continuing the case. His colleague's name is Peter Stassen, and they had asked and said, we want to bring in some expert witnesses. And like very, very famous people who knew a lot about the COVID case and what's happening. So I think they asked for 5 expert witnesses, but the judge in Leeuwarden said, no, you're not allowed to bring in expert witnesses, which I think is totally crazy because it's just part of the law. Well, in the picture behind him, these are, well, at least Dutch law books. I studied law myself, so I know all these books. It's they said, no, you cannot bring in any experts. So what is happening now is that the well, his colleague who's taking over the case is going in appeal against this because it's like, why you're not allowed to bring in expert witnesses? That's a normal right which you have. So it's another. It made me think about, well, we will later talk about the UK case, which we talked about last week, and Roy will explain this week. But it's the same thing what actually happened with the elections in Romania. Is like the legal system seems to be compromised. Let me put it nicely, and everything what you do to try to highlight or explain your case is ignored or disqualified or not allowed. So that is a clear trend to me. So this is happening, and unfortunately, this man Arno van Kessel, where you see, he's still in this maximum security prison in the Netherlands.
And I mean, I've mentioned it a few times about my cases, but my Irish case, which was in the High Court, I had an affidavit that they didn't respond to, and I still lost the case. In Poland, I had so many cases that 100% were fraudulent. So I personally have witnessed so much fraud, and I mean the level they're at, it's unreal. And we'll talk about the Ebbing one now later as well, and just confirms it. So you can help the show by going to awakeningpodcast.org support. We have a lot of costs. We always mention that it takes like a day. I think it's more, because our days are usually 14 to 16 hours. And you can buy us a coffee. There's different things, Patreon, PayPal. I've got like even just domains. Sometimes the domains, like they're over $100 for some of the domains because once it's a different title like .world or something like that. And there's also like websites. Website bill was over 300 just on the hosting of it, and constant little costs. And all we're asking for is to buy us a coffee once a month. $5. If you can do that, great. If you can't, it's a model bill based on soundness, so you'll always have a free episode. But if you can, and Barry, I'd just like to say, Barry Reynolds, thanks again for your support. So we had touched on this a few times, and we had kind of said how dangerous it was, a lot of the tariffs, because people think, oh, we're great. But a US appeals court has ruled that most of President Trump's global tariffs are illegal, saying he overstepped his authority by imposing them under emergency economic powers. The 7-4 decision found that only Congress has the clear powers to set tariffs, not the president, and that the law Trump relied on did not give him authority. The tariffs targeted most countries, including China, Mexico, and Canada, and were justified by Trump as necessary for national security and to address unfair trade. The court said the law Trump used, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, does not mention tariffs, and Congress never intended to give the president unlimited tariff powers. The ruling is on hold until October the 14th to allow time for an appeal to the Supreme Court. Trump criticized the decision, warning it could harm the US, while the White House argued removing tariffs could damage the economy. The case is likely headed to the Supreme Court, which will decide if Trump's use of tariff was legal. If upheld, the decision could undo many of Trump's signature trade policies. It does not affect tariffs on steel or aluminium, which were imposed under different rules. The outcome could limit potential powers over trade in the future. And then I was kind of looking for more details on Trump's response, and he sharply criticized the appeals court decision, calling it highly partisan, and warning that if the ruling stands, it would literally destroy the United States of America. He insisted that removing the tariffs would be a total disaster for the country, making the US financially weak, and expressed confidence with the US would ultimately win the case. Trump argued that the tariffs were necessary for national strength and security, and maintained that the court's decision was incorrect. And irrespective of your thoughts on this, it doesn't look good for the leader of the country that everybody seems to be kind of going on. I mean, he's stopping a lot of wars and he's coming in and he's making a lot of agreements, which are great, but we have to call him out when things are wrong. But if other countries are looking at this, that kind of that makes the whole system look weak and takes his power away. So I'm just curious your thoughts on that one, Arnold.
Well, his behavior and you see, well, you can see almost every day a picture where he signs a document which is an executive order, like I signed it and that. It To me it looked like the US has become a full-blown dictatorship. Uh, there is nothing democratic about it. It's just I, Donald Trump, decide and that's it. And of course, there are all these friends of his in the background who write these documents. But the whole democratic process where you have discussions in the Congress and in the Senate and everything and, well, have influence of the people is completely gone. And if that behavior is sustained and accepted and approved, more countries are doing it. It's happening in the Netherlands as well. We have a government which is currently, well, waiting for new elections. So it's the kind of caretaker thing. But they decide all kinds of things just by themselves. And it's not in parliament. It's not never discussed in parliament. So its ripple effect is everywhere. So I like this decision where they say like, hey, it's a Congress responsibility and it's not a responsibility. Well, you're not allowed to do that. So I hope that this stays in a court of appeal. But like what we are discussing is that most of the time the highest level says, oh, it's okay, it's fine, just continue. But it's it's really strange because at the medium level in the justice system, they say, hey, you cannot do that. And then, oh, we go a level higher. Oh, we can do it. Fine. So it's really a very dangerous situation.
So NATO, what's that about?
Yeah, the NATO is building its largest military base in Romania. It's, well, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It's in the border with Ukraine. They're building the largest stronghold of NATO in Europe. They're investing 2.5 billion euro. And, well, you see here, it's a video where I took a screenshot what's happening. What they're building there is incredible. They're building housing for 10,000 troops and families. 10,000. With schools, hospitals, shops, and hangars, runways, command hubs, and full deployment capacity ready by 2027. So that's in less than 2 years, expanding through 2040. It's twice the scale of which is currently the largest NATO bases in Ramstein in Germany, but this one is twice that scale. So I think this doesn't look good because what it says is this isn't just preparation, it's fortification. So, and that puts Romania at the forefront of a possible conflict. And these are pictures from the air. So this is not like they're saying it. It's like, no, you can see it. It's happening as we speak, and I think it's totally incredible.
I can't actually recollect anything good NATO has done. So when you're building something like that, it's always for war.
Yes.
So Logan Sieber arson case. Logan Sieber, 25-year-old former uh, volunteer fighter from Macklin Sachkavechvan, I'll put the name in the show notes, was charged in 24 with a series of arson offences. The case drew attention because she had been trusted as a firefighter, was found responsible for setting numerous fires in his own community. The offences in the summer of 24, he was and the surrounding areas experienced a surge of suspicious fires. Investigators determined he set about 30 fires in a single month, mostly targeting hay bales on rural properties. The fires caused significant property damage and alarmed local residents and farmers. Sebin's role as a voluntary firefighter heightened the sense of betrayal and concern in the local community. He was arrested and charged in August 24. Charges include arson causing mischief, arson with intent to defraud, and theft under 5,000. He pleaded guilty on one account of arson causing property damage in Unity Provincial Court in January of this year. The court reserved sentencing for several months. The outcome on July the 22nd, he received an 18-month probation sentence with no jail time. The judge's decision considers Sebin's guilty plea, lack of prior criminal record, and other mitigating factors. Probation requires Sebin to be supervised in the community and comply with court orders conditions, and the case was widely reported in the area, reflecting the seriousness of the offences and the breach of trust by a firefighter. In Canada, arson causing property damage is a serious crime, but sentencing principle emphasizes proportionality and restraint. The court weighed aggravating factors such as Sebin's position of trust against mitigating circumstances like his acceptance of responsibility. If that was anyone else, they'd have 10 years in jail, causing 30 fires and getting off on probation. So this is like what you said at the start, that the courts, this guy was probably paid to do that. Like that just doesn't make sense.
No, even like you say, 30 cases, and it destroyed probably not only farmland, but possibly maybe barns and sheds and houses of farmers. So it's huge damage to people's property, and it is like, well, okay, no problem.
Here's a little slap on the wrist. Go on away there, and we'll keep an eye on you.
Yeah. It's really a weird world in which we live.
Yeah.
Well, even make it a little bit more weirder. The picture, which if you're only listening, says Sharia, the solution for the East and the West, democracy go to hell. And that is now the case in Austria. We have a lot of legal cases today. We didn't plan that. That's just happening. The court in Austria has officially recognized Sharia law in the country. The Islamic Sharia law has now been ruled as being legally binding for civil disputes in Austria. This after a ruling from the court in Vienna, which is the capital of Austria. The case was about two men that has used a Sharia arbitration tribunal to settle a case of one of them owing a large sum of 320,000 euro to the other guy. The man who lost the case in the Sharia law took the case to the official court of the land, the Vienna Regional Court for Civil Law, and here the official court of the land, they upheld the ruling from the Sharia tribunal. So this means Austrian, European law is being replaced by Sharia law, or at least it's next to it is like, okay, that is also okay. But Sharia law is like, well, correct me if I'm wrong, Roy, is like they cut off your hand if you steal something, or the really weird things which are allowed in Sharia law. But now that's okay to do in Austria.
I don't know. And I mean, for those watching, the picture shows three ninjas, like they're wearing their burqas. And what's strange is like that's being banned, I think, in Denmark. There's a few countries that are banning them. And what I saw during the week is a guy pretending he was a woman, but he was robbing, and they took the thing off, and it was a dude. So I
Well,
think, yeah, I think that's dangerous. Plus, like they're so-called telling us about all this terrorism and all the crap we have to go through at the airports. I mean, if someone is going to do something that's a terrorist act, would they not be the ideal thing that cover your body with something like that? So I'm all in favor of banning the burqas.
yeah, but the opposite is happening. Is like the law which they have in some of their countries is now also applicable in Austria.
Yeah. So this is another interesting one. So we showed us, I believe it was last week we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
yeah,
So
yeah.
a High Court ruling on August, just this month, Epping Forest District Council won a temporary injunction against the bill. This is just giving a recap in Epping, Essex, which had been housing 138 asylum seekers. The council argued it breached planning laws and that local safety concerns, including protests and criminal charge against a migrant, justified removing residents by September. The Court of Appeal just this week overturned this injunction. The panel, Lord Justice Bean, I presume it's like Mr. Bean, obviously, Lady Justice Nicola Davis, and Lord Justice Cobbler, maybe, I don't know, ruled that the High Court decision was seriously flawed in principle. The key reasons: it excluded the Home Office from the proceedings despite their legal duty to oversee asylum accommodation. I listened to a solicitor on a show talking about that. They never do that. So that's just kind of more bull crap pretending that they should be involved in that. It overemphasized local protests and underweighed the need for national planning and smoother transitions. Protests stopped once this was awarded. So they're basically just saying they can't use that as an excuse. It risked setting a precedent for other councils to disrupt the asylum system. Well, duh. I mean, that's what we were all hoping for. And I was hoping it was transition to Ireland because I'm fairly sure they don't have the right planning either there. So do they want to rock the boat? No. So they're stepping in again. So proving that legal system is crap. The aftermath, Home Office welcomed the decision, of course, all the people running the asylum, highlighting that commitment to phasing out hotel-based asylum housing by 2029 is planned manner. Epping Council expressed deep disappointment and vowed to continue fighting, possibly up to the Supreme Court with a full hearing set for October of this year, 2025. Public response protests erupted across the UK, including Epping, Newcastle, and Scotland. Some residents, particularly parents, voiced fear for community safety amid rising tensions. Political fallout: critics accused the government of prioritising asylum seekers over residents. Opposition figures like Nigel Farage and Kemi Badenoch, I don't know if I pronounced that right, were vocal, while Labour insisted the ruling avoid chaotic displacement. I mean, that's unbelievable that that has happened. It just shows that the whole thing is orchestrated. And when people stand up and their council, I'm shocked that that actually happened, but the council did the right thing. And then the government comes in and says, no, no, that's not going to work. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it just unfortunately it's just another example where, like I said, at a medium or at a local level, a court takes a decision which is not favorable to the government, and then in the court of appeal they say, "Oh no, we overturn it. We're not going to support that." Like I said, that happened in Romania. That's happening in the Netherlands. This is in the UK. It's everywhere. It's like people are no longer listening to that. And another thing, what people tend to forget, if you have, well, any kind of legal case, and you want to go to a court of appeal, there's a time in between of at least I would say half a year or a year. It's like, yeah, it's like if you say I disagree, I want to go to Ireland. That takes a long time, but all of these decisions are taken within a week. Try to get your appeal to be discussed within a week. You're not going to succeed. I tell you.
I've had lots of cases that took over 2 years. And it's like your life is on hold with this because you don't know what's going to happen. Even a criminal case against me that they could have got me locked up for a few years. And you're like, You'd rather something like that that's done immediately, get it done and dusted. No, case after case after case. 1 to 2 years for most of the things I've done. And as you say, look at this. A week later, oh, no problem. Yeah, we can come in and change the rule on that.
Yeah.
One rule for them, one rule for us.
That's exactly what happened in Romania with the election of Georgescu, who was banned from, well, even being put on the list to be elected. So, and that was also, well, I think even within a few days. So it's like, yeah, it's like different metrics for different people.
We're not in that club, Arnold.
No, and maybe that's a badge of honor.
Exactly.
So AI, a lot of people, before we go to the AI, and I I don't know whether I'm making myself popular or not on a lot of podcasts. I talk about that AI has some very interesting and good things, but also has some dark side. But especially to deal and make the right choices, you have to make sure that your brain is operating at the highest possible level, that you really work on your fitness of your brain, just like you work on the fitness of your body by exercising, going to the gym, playing tennis, swimming, walking your dog. You need to work on brain fitness. And that is where I help people with. I got master classes where it's a workshop, a personal workshop for you, which are videos to talk about your uniqueness, about curiosity, dealing with emotion, forming new habits. There's a training which helps you from fitting into flying out. And my recent new book, which is called The Adventures of Dr. Alfred Moore, is about a traditional doctor who becomes an entrepreneur. And if you scan the QR code, you get to the Brain Fitness website and you can sign up for a training. Last week, there was the announcement of a new phone, the Google Pixel 10. And interesting to see is that a lot of people are really excited because everything is AI based. They're like, oh, it's so cool and what it can do. I'm going to read a few things what that AI phone is doing for you. And then after that, I will have some, hopefully, wake you up a little bit because I think it's extremely dangerous. It has a magic cue. It's called proactive AI that makes contextual suggestions across apps, like servicing restaurant recommendations when friends ask for dinner plans or reminding you of errands on your activity. So that means it's totally monitoring everything what you discuss and what you do. It has visual overlays. So Gemini Live, Gemini is another product from Google. It can now see through your camera lens and provide real-time guidance, such as translating street signs or identifying parking information while traveling. That means the camera is totally monitoring everything what you do. Voice-powered everything from real-time call translation in 11 languages to hands-free Gemini support. Google is embedding conversational AI into every device interaction. Well, you don't know how that translation is correct or not. Maybe, well, for instance, I'm in Romania. I don't speak one word, well, a couple of words of Romanian, but it might say something to offend someone, which was not not what I said, but the translation is offend, and the guy starts becoming aggressive. So it's like it looks like it's already, well, I don't want to offend other people, but it's like if you're a blind person, you get a stick, and that stick is really crucial because people get to see that you're blind and what you do. But this phone has become the stick of people who are not blind. It's like they're following everything behind that phone, and it sees everything, it listens to everything, and it does everything. And people think, oh, it's great. Even I got this from a mailing, and the guy who wrote the mailing is like, I'm a hardcore iPhone user, but I think about switching to this Google phone. It's really great. Well, if we talk about technocracy and living in a surveillance economy, this is your surveillance device. It knows and sees everything that you do. Well, if that's what you love, buy the thing. But if you care about your privacy and your own world, whatever, I would say think twice before you do that.
I think all the phones are like that anyway. It's just now they're kind of saying, hey, you can get this phone that does this. They're doing it anyway. But this way, it's kind of like as if it's helping you. They're taking that information. I mean, we all know I've often, just mentioned something or even write on WhatsApp and then I get an ad for it. I mean, WhatsApp is supposed to be encrypted. So I think every phone is doing that anyway. So, Google's Jules 2.0 AI code and agent newly unveiled autonomous AI powered coding assistant marketed fully free to use. It describes as a coding teammate that operates in the background, capable of updating your code base, fixing bugs, and automating tasks seamlessly. The core features, it doesn't function like a traditional live assistant. Instead, it works independently, processing tasks and returning results without constant developer interaction. It can autonomously handle coding tasks such as bug fixes, code updates, and likely optimizations, all while you focus on higher level work. Joul's standout selling points is its zero cost model. You can access and use Joul's 2.0 without paying. That makes advanced AI coding assistance widely accessible, especially to individual developers and small teams. I mean, there's more information on this, but how many jobs is that going to take now as well? Because there's people that are used for fixing bugs and things like that. They're making it look like, oh, you just concentrate on the main things when you're spending time like that. If a company has 100 people, how many do they reduce it to with something like this? So as it's making it look like, hey, this is great, this is great, this is brilliant. All I see is developers' jobs being gone again.
And with no alternative for these folks.
Yeah.
And it can go even worse. This is the picture which you see is of a young man called Adam Rain, who died because of suicide and because of using ChatGPT. And the Center for Humane Technology, which also has a perfect podcast, they're asked to be an expert consultant in this Rain. Rain is his last name, so Rain versus OpenAI. And it's the first major lawsuit against a general purpose AI chatbot for psychological harm. He used ChatGPT for 8 months, and he started out to use it as a help for his homework, but it, well, escalated into being psychological manipulation. So this lawsuit exposes a critical issue that extends far beyond one tragic death, and it shows that AI systems are being designed to maximize engagement over human well-being. So as long as we keep you tied to that phone, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. And here is an example what the ChatGPT chatbot and talked with Adam. The legal filing reveals that ChatGPT mentioned suicide 1,275 times, while Adam did only 213. So that is 6 times more than he brought up. So this is a case how these conversations with these chatbots can go terribly wrong. and in such a way that the young, the picture looked like a very nice young man who committed suicide. And I'm happy that they put on this lawsuit because it's literally destroying people's lives. There, I think last week I mentioned even folks who are at a high level in AI company, they talk about AI psychosis. So it like, isn't this awful? Like what this AI thing can do and impact? And just think it's good and it's normal. It's like fine, everything's good. It's really horrible, and I'm really curious how that legal case will develop, but I will keep you posted.
And the thing is, how many other cases that we don't hear about? Because unfortunately, the majority of people, they let their kids off in the room. They don't know what they're doing. And if a child just unfortunately ends their life, they don't even investigate that. There could be thousands or hundreds of thousands of cases like this, and people just go because they kind of doctor the figures on suicide as well. It is massive.
And even though the numbers are doctored, they're exploding, and exploding especially among teenagers. So it's that's why I mentioned this case. It's not just one exemption, whatever. It's like there are many more cases all over the world because people all over the world are using it. I had an interview this week with a man from Nigeria, a young man, and to me it seemed that most of his work he was doing using AI. So it's everywhere. So it's not only in the US or anything. It's like up to Nigeria in any country. It's like they treat this AI like it's the best thing in the world. But like I said, there are good things, but there are also bad things. This young man is no longer among us. Yeah. Terrible.
So let's cheer him up a bit, Arnold, with the good news caravan.
Yes, yeah. Today you mentioned something in Denmark as well, but Denmark has just made face and voice, so your face and your voice, your intellectual property. It becomes the first country in Europe where your face, voice, and body are now your property. So a new law gives citizens full control over their digital selves. I think that's extremely
Brilliant.
important.
Yeah.
And it's excellent news, is what they're doing in Denmark, and I hope they spread it out across many countries. I think, was it something like 6 months ago that was in the US where this voice company was using a Scarlett Johansson or the famous movie star, their voice, and there were legal cases around it. Can you use my a chatbot with my voice or not, whatever. But this case makes an end to that. It's like, no, it's your intellectual property. You're not allowed to use it. So I think that's excellent news. And
And I think you could apply that to work as well, because a lot of people, they're getting people to train the AI agent, and it depends on what way they're doing it. But it'd be nice if you could nip that in the bud, because they're getting people, and unfortunately, they're living month to month, and they're putting in all this information based on their information that they're using, and it's being used then as if they're the person. That's kind of IP as well, if you think of it.
yeah, but it's like that's what they do with the, how is it called? Roaming or scanning, where they take all the data from all of these sources and they use it to train the model and everything around it. But that includes your voice and your face and picture. They train things with pictures. Yeah, there's things now with face recognition software as part of this surveillance economy. It's like there are known cases of people who are arrested and being in jail because they said, "Oh, you are the guy who robbed this bank," and then it appeared that the face recognition software made a mistake. So it really, but this is good news. Denmark is in some case really a front runner. So I hope this spreads to other countries.
Sure, we got Oh, we've got next slide. Yeah, so virtual assistants, I mean, that's a business that I do with my partner. And if you're looking for someone to help you with the work, if you're social media posting, things like that. I mentioned last week, I think I said 60,000 kind of per month. It's actually per week is what I meant to say with all the shorts and stuff that I'm doing. So if you want to get a bit bigger exposure, we're able to help you with that. Email marketing, websites, landing pages, accounting. And so you can scan the QR picture there or go to va.world. And we do different things. We do like packages as well. So we'll actually sit down with you and agree what you need to get done so that you don't have to be looking over your shoulder to make sure it's getting done. So the next one there is new cancer therapy for cats may help people too. Scientists from UCSC, UC Davis, and the University of Pittsburgh tested a new DNA-based cancer treatment in cats with oral cancer. The therapy uses a DNA decoy to block a protein called STAT3, STAT3, which drives tumor growth in both cats and humans. STAT3 is active in about 75% of human cancers, but drugs haven't been able to shut it down. This study is the first to show successful STAT3 treatment in real clinical settings. 20 pet cats with aggressive mouth cancers were treated. They received weekly injections for a month. 35% of cats saw tumors shrink or stabilized. Responding cats lived about 5 months versus 2 months for non-responders, and side effects were mild. The treatment also boosted the immune system, offering clues for predicting who will benefit. Researchers now plan human trials while also continuing cat studies. So another positive thing for the future.
Absolutely. Just like this picture of a lady on some farming land. It's a lady from off the coast of Mauritius. Mauritius had a devastating oil spill in July 2020, so that's 5 years ago. It wiped not only out the sea life because all the oil there in the sea, it destroys all the fish and everything which is in there, but also entire lines of work depended on the sea. These women and the men, whatever, they were fishermen. But if the fish is gone, you cannot be a fisherman anymore. So Sandy Monrose is this lady, and a team of fishing families alchemized the devastation into a new possibility. After months of ocean cleanup, Monrose met with a multinational company, and this was a good multinational company that runs a agri-hub for farming entrepreneurs. She recalled the surreal feeling when we asked for land and we got it in the same day. So by 2021, and her team were working the land. Although they were fishermen, women, they crafted a new terrestrial livelihood on a lush, thriving farm where papayas and potatoes replace lost seas. They had to do something else because, well, basically these people would die because they're fishers. That's how they earn their money, and they would eat from it. But because the oil is destroyed, so by getting this land and making it into growing food and everything else, and train these people to that, it created community, but especially, yeah, so they helped each other, and there was more hope and resilience instead of total devastation. But it's also like it created a livelihood for the people. So I think that's an excellent initiative.
Absolutely. And it amazes me that a lot of these big oil companies making multi-millions, probably even trillions, and when there's oil spills, they do the bare minimum and then they're gone. And yet the devastation of families, and as you say, the fishermen, they should be made to return it the way it was with the amount of money that they've got, but they don't, unfortunately. So researchers at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities have developed a new approach to spinal cord injury repair using 3D organoid scaffolds. These scaffolds contain microscopic channels designed to guide the growth of new nerve fibers across injury sites. The scaffolds are seeded with spinal neural progenitor cells derived from adult human stem cells, which can differentiate into mature nerve cells. The channels ensure that the new nerve fibers grow into correct direction, potentially allowing signals to bypass damaged spinal cord areas and restore function, which is incredible. In experiments, the 3D printed scaffolds were implanted into rats with completely severed spinal cords. The cells differentiated into neurons and extended nerve fibers in both directions, forming connections with the host's existing nerve circuits. The integration led to significant functional recovery in the rats, with the new fibers establishing meaningful connections necessary for restoring function. Dr. Gubon Han and Dr. Ann Parr from the University of Minnesota emphasized the importance of the 3D printed channels in directing nerve growth and described the technology as a potential new era in spinal cord injury research. They highlighted the promise of combining advanced biomaterials with stem cell biology for future clinical applications, which is incredible. And I mean, anybody that had an accident. Sometimes people dive in at the swimming pools and things like that. If this catches on, if this starts working, it'll be life-changing for so many families.
Absolutely. Universal health trackers. In the US, the Health and Human Service Secretary Kennedy is launching what he calls one of the biggest advertising campaign in health and human services history to encourage every American to wear a health tracker within 4 years. So his slogan is not making America great again, but making America healthy again. And he plans that everybody is supposed to be using, these watches and everything else within 4 years. However, there are finally some people awake, like some Chicago researchers and medical experts are raising red flags about privacy risk, insurance discrimination, and whether Americans will actually stick with the devices long term. So this is another example, like we discussed with the AI, is like it can do good things, it can help people, but it can also say, is like, oh, we got this device, it's like, oh, you're still smoking, oh, you got to pay more for your insurance. Or you're eating unhealthy, you're not exercising, you didn't exercise today, your insurance goes up. So, or you want to go somewhere and people say, oh, no, that's not healthy for you. Or you order some food and say, that food is not healthy for you. You're not allowed to eat it. I think this is the precursor to what they do with the WEF is like, hey, you will own nothing but still be happy and healthy. Like, they totally will manage everything in your life if you put on such a health tracker. But Kennedy is pushing it, and he wants, so within 4 years, that every American has such a thing. And I think that's not a good tendency.
If you look at frequency and the damage to things like that, same with the rings, people we wear sleeping rings to get their dream pattern and everything, all connected to Wi-Fi and everything. And the same with the watches. They're not good for you. What I encourage people, go away and do the research yourself and find out why they're not. Don't be saying, are these things safe? Because it'll tell you they're safe because the people that write all these programs will tell you they're safe. But when you start finding out the dangers of them, the dangers of the frequencies, you realize you shouldn't be wearing them rings, you shouldn't be wearing them watches, and of course, you shouldn't wear them patches. So this is another one that we discussed, I don't know, maybe a month ago or less. Organ peel developed by Appeal Sciences, which was a Gates eating, was a plant-based edible coating used on organic fruits and vegetables to extend shelf life by slowing water loss and oxidation. Its main ingredients were plant-based mono and disaccharide, citric acid, and baking soda, but 99.34% of the formulation was proprietary and not publicly disclosed, which led to significant transparency concerns. Although organ peel was approved by OMRI and used for organic produce and registers with the EPA as a post-harvest fungicide, there was ongoing regulatory ambiguity about whether it should be classified as a coating or a fungicide. This conclusion, combined with the lack of full ingredient disclosure, led to consumer distrust and criticism from organic advocates who felt it undermined the integrity of organic label. Health and safety concerns include the absence of long-term studies on the effects of ingestion organ peel, potential allergen risks, and questions about whether the coating should be fully washed off. While the FDA considered the ingredients generally recognized as safe, as I mentioned lots of times, I don't trust the FDA, so don't let that make you make any decisions. The proprietary nature of the formulation and presence of mono and disaccharide, which can be derived from various sources, fueled skepticism, especially among those with allergies and sensitivities. Some retailers, such as natural grocers and food co-ops, responded to consumer concerns by banning organ peel coated produce. The discontinuation of organ peel is seen as positive by many because it addresses transparency issues, reduces regulatory confusion, and restores consumer trust in organic standards for small and local producers. While the loss of a shelf life extension tool poses challenges, it also removes the sources of reputational risk and helps maintain the perceived purity of organic produce. So thankfully, because that was one that I couldn't believe when we discussed it a few weeks ago. So I think JFK was significant in that. I forget the other guy, but yeah, at least Gatesy got a little slap into the face on that one. So that's good.
Absolutely. RFK it is, huh?
RFK, yeah. Yeah, sorry, JFK is wrong guy. Yeah.
Access to clean drinking water. Roy, how many people in the world you guess still lack safe drinking water? Make a guess.
Unfortunately, I'd say it's a lot. I mean, if the population is right, which I don't think it is, I would say maybe 15%. If we're going by the 8 billion, then 10-15%.
It's much more. What they say is that more than 2 billion, so that's 25% of people worldwide still lack access to safely managed drinking water. And that's from a report which was published last week. And the World Health Organization warned that 1 in 4, so 2 billion is 1 in 4, if the numbers are correct. But anyway, it's a lot. And they say the people is falling dangerously behind on achieving universal water coverage. So, and out of that 2 billion people, there are under 6 million people who continue to drink directly from untreated surface sources like rivers, ponds, and canals. Those things are used as sewers. That's where people drink their water. But I cannot understand why everybody in the Western world or the non say we are making progress, we are having such an advanced modern society, whereas 1 in 4 people have no access to safe drinking water. How can you say we are a progressive modern society? I don't understand that. It's totally, well, it's beyond how I can say is that and even if there is water, there are people who gotta each day walk one way 10 kilometers and 10 kilometers back to get water from a well like over here every day, and they use that water to clean, to cook, to drink. Every day they got to walk 10 kilometers, get some water with these heavy jerry cans and walk back. How can we say we're a modern society when 1 in 4 people don't have that? I think it's like this should be a priority instead of working on these health trackers or AI phones, whatever. It's like let's make sure that everybody's got clean food and clean water all over the world. It's not so difficult. But apparently, it's like we think all of these bullshit things are more important than getting, but it's mostly women because, well, in a lot of the countries, men are not working and the women are doing the work. So they work with these jerry cans and which are, what is it, 10 kilo or something like that. And they walk 10 kilometers back and forth. It's like, why can't we have everybody access to at least clean drinking water? So the good thing is that at least there is a UN supported report where, well, they ask us to give attention to this. And I think all of these AI support things and all of this surveillance and everything else is like, put that on hold. And all these billions and trillions who are moving into AI, stop with it and make sure that people get clean drinking water.
And the thing is, there's a lot of charities that kind of go out there, plant wells and everything. I have exposed a load of charities being fraudulent. Sometimes 1% of the money goes to the charity. So if you really want to make change with this, make sure that you're giving it to the people that are actually doing it and that are not driving the Ferraris and having helicopters and private planes.
That is proof, because why is this not solved 10, 20, 30 years ago? So it's like, it's proof that it's fraudulent and everything around it. But like building AI data centers and everything where billions and billions is like, I think with a few billions you can make sure that everybody's got clean drinking water in the world. So I think this should be a priority, because these people are suffering, not the guys in their suits in their offices and they, no, they're not. These women are suffering. So let's move into some inspiration. I just finished this book. You can see here a picture of this man. His name is Greg Braden. It's called Pure Human. It's it's a very good explanation about what transhumanism is. And transhumanism is basically integrate technology into our bodies so that we can be better and perform better. And he basically advocates that that's not a good thing, and that we, by doing so, we block and we increase the limitation of our own divinity. And with our own divinity, he means divinity is everything you do to go beyond your perceived limitations. And we can all go beyond our limitations, but not if we are full of technology within our bodies or in our phones or everywhere else. So this book clearly explains what is happening, what's happening, what you can do to honor your own divinity. It's very nice and easy, accessible, written. So highly recommend this book, Pure Human by Greg Braden.
So Mexico's historic poverty reduction. So, we need something positive. Multidimensional poverty in Mexico dropped from approximately 41.9% of the population in 2018 to 29.6% in 2024, marking a 20% reduction, or over 13 million people lifted out of poverty. From 22 to 24 alone, more than 8.3 million people emerged from poverty, an 18% drop. Extreme poverty fell by 23% and moderate poverty by over 16%. The reasons: this labor income surge, approximately 73% of the poverty reduction is attributed to increased labor income, thanks to a tripling of the minimum wage from 88 pesos a day, and I was looking, it's like 88 is less than $5, to 278, it's about $15 a day in 2025, to strengthen the purchasing power of low-income earners. Social welfare reforms: the Lopez Obrador administration replaced the conditional Prospera program with universal cash transfers targeting pensioners, apprentices, and farmers, doubling social spending in the process. Experts recognize these policies as a historic shift comparable to poverty reductions seen in countries like China and Vietnam, rare achievements without commodity booms or mass foreign aid. The urban and the rural urban poverty declined by 34.5 million to 25.5 million, whereas rural poverty dropped from 17.4 to 13 million. Improvements were more modest in rural areas. And though poverty declined, access to healthcare deteriorated sharply. The number of people without healthcare services rose from about 20 million in 2018 to 44 million, effectively doubling. So, I mean, we hear sometimes when we hear about Mexico, we hear about the drug cartels and all the bad things. I mean, this is, very good. I know, especially since we were talking about the water previously. So it's nice to see that Mexico are getting it right.
Yeah, but this is incredible. It's just in 6 years. It's really magical. So well, it's clearly something for other countries to learn from.
Yeah.
As last a picture of, yeah, literally on a lighter scale. This is a picture. It's made. It's a picture of flight patterns of birds. So there is a Catalan photographer called Xavi Bou. He's fascinated with birds and the challenge of making their flight patterns visible. Yeah, you see sometimes when there's a flock of birds, or what you call it, a gaggle, and like they're going with these huge groups and they're going in all these directions. And he was like, how can I visualize this? So what he has done, he has combined his passion for nature, art, and technology to create these images, which he calls ornithography, and from the Greek word ornithos, which means bird, and graph means drawing. So if you go to his site or link, is well, there are all these, yeah, where you see it, like, well, maybe hundreds or thousands of birds where they're flying in circles or whatever it is, and he makes these graphic drawings for it. It's totally amazing.
And it's something when we were younger, we used to be watching the birds all the time. You see and it's amazing to watch. And we used to, I remember we say, flock of birds in the sky, name a day for my surprise. And you see it loads of times. You rarely see flocks of birds now. And I don't know, is it to do with 5G or what, but if you were conscious of watching flocks of birds, you rarely see it. Now, I'm not sure if you see it much in Romania, but here, I rarely see it.
I really notice as well, compared to the Netherlands, whatever it is, like I see hardly any birds here. So, but he's visualizing and making these, well,
Oh, it looks beautiful.
pictures. It's really beautiful.
Okie dokie. So, as always, thank you very much, Arnold. And for those that are watching, you can scan the QR code. You'll find everything about the things we discussed. It's the Brain Gym, the VA World, and about me as well. I'll go to rycon.com and my 6 podcasts. So be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends. And if you can, donation is greatly appreciated. Until next week, take care.